Okay, with this video, I want to show you two things. One, want to show you how to use the Turnitin function in D2L, and also want to show you how I grade essays. I'm about to return essay number 1 later tonight, and students often are like, well, where'd that come from? And that's what this video is going to cover. To start off with Turnitin, that's the plagiarism detector we use here at Northeast State. It's embedded in D2L. I have to turn it on for it to actually function. And you can see when I do that, when you go to the assignments drop box, and you see this little binocular looking thing in the document, that means I've turned it in on to review the submissions and see what's going on there. To see your reports, you'll just click on the submission here, and you'll see this Turnitin similarity. You're not going to see anything with mine right here because I can't do Turnitin on my own submissions, so I can't actually show you exactly what it looks like. But it's going to be a little color and a percentage. You get back in there. That's a professor. Mine looks a little different on my side. But you're going to see this percentage and this, green, yellow, red. I think there's an orange in there too somewhere. Showing you the percentage. And what the Turnitin is saying is that, like with Tessa's first essay, 34% of that essay has already been turned in by somebody else before, which with this first essay is not that unusual. You're doing a lot of research, using quotes from fairly popular stories. So, 25, 35% is kind of normal. In fact, if you're below, if you're like a 10% or something like that, it's kind of like, well, maybe you don't have many quotes in there. Or you might just be using a story people haven't used very much. But you'll click on that yellow box. And by the way, I've already looked at this one. There's nothing bad about Tessa's essay here. And you just want to go in there and see what Turnitin is actually saying about your essay. Sometimes it's kind of funny. It'll say that you're plagiarizing your last name in the header and silly stuff like that. But all it's really saying is somebody has turned in this information prior to this particular essay. And again, if you're defining a fairly well-known movement like American modernism, the odds are you might be using resources that other people have used before. So if it's highlighting your quotes and your citations, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You're documenting your sources, where you're getting your information from. That's not plagiarism in any way. And Turnitin is just saying, hey, somebody else turned this in before you, and you're like, well, sorry. There's nothing wrong with that. So you just kind of want to go through, see what it's highlighting. The Gilded Six Books by Zora Neale Hurston is not a plagiarized passage. You can't rephrase that in any other way, right? Notice it's highlighting the various quotes she's using, and there's nothing wrong with that. All Turnitin is saying is that somebody else has used this quote in an essay before this one, and probably a course they have, right? This is a pretty popular writer with a fairly popular short story to use for essays. Again, highlighting the quotes. Some things to notice, highlighting another quote, but where she's used that bracket to add something to the quote, it's not highlighting that, so she's actually using the brackets correctly, right? But you want to know how to kind of read your Turnitin report. If it's starting to highlight passages that aren't quotes, that's where you got to kind of look at it and go like, whoa, did I actually accidentally take something from somewhere? Or be careful, because it's starting to tell you that you're plagiarizing. But like here, again, probably using those brackets correctly because it's not highlighting that as part of the quote. But all it's doing is highlighting our quotes. And my guess is going to be highlighting some of our works cited entries. Yeah. And that's where that 34% is coming from. You can do different things within Turnitin. You can go to this funnel-looking thing. It looks like a martini glass to me, but that might say more about me, right? But you can go here to filters and settings and exclude quotes and bibliography. And that's probably going to reduce that to quite a bit. That goes from 34% to 5%. And again, you can go back through and see what it's highlighting and just the author's name and part of a quote. Nothing wrong with this essay, right, in terms of plagiarism or anything like that. So when you first look at the number, you might kind of go like, oh my gosh. But make sure you just check it out. It may be highlighting a problem, so you want to go through and double check, make sure you're crediting your sources and everything like that, or make sure you're not cutting and pasting in there, then not putting quote marks around it or something like that, because then you're not formatting quotes properly and you're kind of plagiarizing. Maybe not intentionally, but you kind of going across the line there. But if you ever look at that Turnitin report and you have questions about it, be sure to let me know. And I'll turn this on with the drafts with the next essay. Probably should have done with the first one, but that's what's happening with Turnitin. So if I say you're turning in something, Turnitin's kind of highlighting a passage of yours. This is what I'm looking at. I'm saying, hey, either you didn't format the quote properly, or you just cut and pasted and didn't credit your source, which is kind of plagiarism, right? You're not supposed to do that. But a lot of things could be happening. Could be happening. Like I said, it's not unusual for Turnitin to highlight someone's name and say you're plagiarizing. Especially if you had a sibling or somebody or a parent go through Northeast State before you. It'll highlight your last name. So that's Turnitin. The other thing I want to show you is how I grade essays. And what I do, just the actual physical work of grading an essay. When I pull your essay up, and then I go into track mode, track changes. This is why all my commentary tends to be in red, and you'll see a little bar on the side. That's me making a comment there. But basically, I pull up your essay and I start going, through it. Oh, so if there's like a kind of sentence gets a little squirrely, fairly normal. We're writing pretty quickly. I got some keystrokes preset, so I can kind of go fairly quickly through all this. But sometimes you'll just see like a comma added. If it's red like that, that means I added it. And just want to just go through the essay, make my commentary. Not sure what happened there. Maybe I hit the button. But like we have a run together sentence here. Kind of a major problem to watch out for. But I'll go through the essay. I mark it up. Probably more than you ever wanted. But definitely, if you have like an odd word here or there, or an omitted word, something like that, that's kind of normal. If you have a pattern of errors, that's something you want to watch out for. If I'm writing, run together sentence 4 or 5 times in your essay, that's something that you should have taken care of in Comp 1. But we're still going to work on those things. Sorry. Then I go to the end of the essay, get out of track changes, and I copy the grading sheet onto the end of your essay. Copy, not cut. Generally, I go to a new page, so make sure you go past your works cited page. And basically, I kind of have all these questions. This is just basically that peer review reformatted into a grading sheet, right? Which I've already shown you. But I break the grading down into 2 different categories. One, I break it into organization development, use of quotes. Then I also break it down into English. I separate those out. Sometimes you get a really interesting paper that just has some English patterns of English errors going through it. You don't want to fail the paper because of one error that the student just needs to work on, especially if they're telling you the meaning of life there in 5 paragraphs or 6 paragraphs. Sometimes you'll find you get a really well-written essay, but it doesn't say anything. So you might get tagged a little bit with organization and development, not commenting on quotes, whatever. But I'll go ahead and make the commentary. Okay, let me get some water. I'll generally highlight problems, kind of where you're losing points. If you have a pattern of sentence fragments, if you're missing some of the punctuation, I'm going to start highlighting that. Let's say you had an it in there. If there's any problems with the works cited page or quote formats, then I'll go ahead and lay out the points you're missing there a little bit. It's just minor problems with the works cited page, not a lot of points. If something's not quite right with the quote formatting or something, and then that's going to be 20. Put the points there. With the basic writing grade, that's the bulk of the essay. I kind of give it a letter grade range based on all these questions, and I have to convert that to a number, and you see the scale there. And basically what I do is I try to summarize what I'm seeing in the essay, kind of showing you maybe where the points are being lost or what you might need to improve on with the next essay, and putting it into that grade range. So pretty good essay overall, kind of in the B range. I'm just going to leave it to B range so I don't have to do anything else. It's the title, just going through all these questions and summarizing what I'm seeing here. There's two basic ways to grade an essay. One, you can take points off for every little mistake. So I could take off 5 points for each sentence fragment and 2 points for each this and 10 points for this or whatever. That can get kind of tedious. It can overly punish students who only have maybe one problem in their essay, just one repetitive problem, say like with verb tense or something like that. Instead, what I do is I grade it more holistically, where I look at the essay as a whole. I do break it down into English versus organization development and use of quotes. But I'm trying to grade the essay kind of holistically, and instead of trying to take a point off for every little silly error. What this kind of does, it kind of pushes down that top range maybe just a little bit. If you're a dual enrollment student or used to that 93, 85, 75 grading scale, the A's can kind of seem a little low maybe, but they're really not. Keep in mind it's a 90, 80, 70% scale. So if you're getting like a 93 on this first essay, you're doing really, really well on the course, right? But anyway, so you get the basic writing grade, you got the documentation grade, you get the editing and required punctuation grade. Add all those up. Went too fast there. 28, 48, 68. Add it up at the bottom. That's where I get the total grade for the essay. And that's the grade that I'll be entering in D2L. So you can kind of see if you're doing really well with documentation and editing and required punctuation, that's going to bring your grade up. If you're omitting some of the required punctuation, still have some MLA issues, might bring the grade down just a little bit. So be careful there. Hopefully after this first essay, these are kind of points you're gonna get, not easily, but fairly readily. If you're seeing patterns up here with the basic writing grade, make sure you address those. Make sure you understand what those are. One great way to improve a grade in a writing class is to go back after you receive a graded essay and make the corrections, and make sure you understand what I'm saying in the essay. But add up all three grades. That's where I get the grade at the bottom, and that's how I kind of arrive at the grade for the essays. If you have any questions about it, be sure to let me know. Be sure to double check my math. You just saw right here, I tend to do it in my head. I can make mistakes, right? If you don't understand something I'm writing, hopefully you can Google fragments and see what they are. But if you don't understand why I'm saying something's a fragment, or maybe I made a mistake, or sometimes I misread things, be sure to let me know. I'll never take more points off when I review an essay, a graded essay. So if you have questions about it, be sure to let me know. But if you have any questions about all this, let me know, and we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.